Imagine sitting in a courtroom. The judge is serious. The lawyers are prepared. The crowd is watching nervously. And the defendant is a pig. Not a metaphor, not a joke. A real, actual pig sitting in a courtroom facing a murder charge with a real lawyer defending it.
This creature is but a beast. It cannot possess the malice of forethought required for this crime.
And here's the craziest part. This happened multiple times across several countries for hundreds of years. Welcome to one of the strangest chapters in human history, the era when medieval people genuinely, seriously put animals on trial. And by the end of this video, you won't just think this is weird, you'll actually understand why they did it. Because the reason reveals something deeply fascinating about how humans think about justice, guilt, and the world around them. Let's get into it. First, let's travel back. We're talking roughly between the 9th and 18th centuries, medieval and early modern Europe. Life is hard, unpredictable, and deeply religious. The church isn't just where you go on Sunday. It shaped everything. How you eat, how you marry, how you think about right and wrong. And in this world, justice isn't just a legal concept. Justice is cosmic. Justice is divine. Justice is something the entire universe is supposed to operate by. So when something wrong happens, when someone gets hurt, when crops get destroyed, people don't just ask, who did this? They ask, who is responsible for this? And here's where it gets interesting. In medieval thinking, responsibility didn't stop at humans. God created a world of order. Every creature had a role. Every creature was expected to behave within that role. And if a creature stepped outside that role, if it caused harm, if it destroyed, if it killed, then that creature had broken the natural order. And broken order needed to be restored, even if the criminal had 4 legs. Now, let me tell you about some of the actual cases, because these are unbelievable. Case number 1, the Pig of Falaise, 1386, France. A pig wandered into a home and attacked a young child. The child later died. The pig was arrested. It was brought to trial. It was given a formal hearing. It was found guilty of murder. And then, and this is where it gets truly medieval, the pig was dressed in human clothing before its execution. Why? Because the court wanted to make a point. This creature had acted like a murderer. It would be punished like one. The execution was public. The entire village came to watch. Justice had been served. Case number 2, the rats of Autun, 1522, France. A group of rats had been destroying the local barley crops. Farmers were losing everything. So they did what any reasonable medieval person would do. They sued the rats. A lawyer was actually appointed to defend rats in court. His name was Bartholomew Chassenee, and he became famous for this case. He argued brilliantly. He said the rats couldn't appear in court because the roads were too dangerous. There were cats everywhere, and you couldn't expect his clients to risk their lives just to show up to a hearing. The judge actually considered this argument seriously. Chassenee went on to become one of the most respected lawyers in France. He built his reputation defending rats. Let that sink in. Case number 3, the weevils of Saint-Julien, 1587, France. Wine-growing villagers in Saint-Julien were being destroyed by weevils eating their vineyards. They took the weevils to court. The church got involved. A prosecutor argued,
"These are instruments of destruction sent to bring ruin." To condemn them for their nature is to condemn God's own design. We must set aside a portion of land for them.
The case dragged on for months. Eventually, the villagers agreed to give the weevils their own piece of land. A settlement with insects. The document still exists in historical archives today. Okay, so now the big question. Were these people crazy? Were they stupid? Actually, no. And this is the part I really want you to think about. These trials served real psychological and social purposes. Purpose number 1: control over chaos. Medieval life was terrifying. Disease, famine, animal attacks, death could come from anywhere at any time for no reason. Holding a trial gave people the feeling that the world made sense, that when something bad happened, there was a process, there was an answer, there was justice. A trial transforms a random tragedy into a story with a beginning, middle, and end. Humans need stories. We always have. Purpose number 2: community healing. When a pig killed a child, the entire community was traumatized. The trial wasn't really about the pig. It was about giving the community a way to grieve together, to point at something, and to say, that wrong has been corrected. The execution was public precisely because it was communal. Everyone needed to witness the restoration of order. Purpose number 3: the law was genuinely meant to be universal. Medieval legal thinkers actually believed, based on biblical texts and natural law philosophy, that God's law applied to all living things, not just humans. The book of Exodus mentions that an ox that kills a human should be killed. Medieval lawyers took this seriously. They built entire legal frameworks around it. It wasn't madness. It was a totally different but internally consistent way of understanding the world. Here's what I want you to really sit with. We look at medieval animal trials and we laugh. We think, how could they possibly believe this made sense? But think about what we do today. We hold corporations accountable in court, and corporations aren't people. They can't feel guilt. They have no consciousness. We prosecute governments. We sue countries. We put abstract entities on trial and expect justice to come out the other side. Is that really so different from putting a pig in a courtroom? Every legal system ever built is, at its core, a story that a society tells itself about what fairness looks like. And those stories change. What seems completely obvious and rational to us today will probably look very strange to people 500 years from now. The medieval people weren't stupider than us. They just had a different story. And they believed in it just as hard as we believe in ours. Animal trials mostly disappeared by the 1700s as scientific thinking began replacing religious frameworks in European law. The last recorded formal animal trial in Europe was in 1906, a dog in Switzerland, convicted of being an accessory to robbery and murder. The dog was executed. And with that, 1,000 years of one of history's strangest legal traditions quietly came to an end. But the question it leaves us with doesn't go away. What does it mean for something to be guilty? What does it mean for justice to be real? And are we really as rational as we think we are? Or are we all just acting out the legal stories our culture handed us? Think about that. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, because we go deep on the strangest, most fascinating corners of history that nobody talks about. And if you want to watch something that pairs perfectly with this, check out Why Blacks Are Called Niggas. It's another one you won't be able to stop watching. I'll see you in the next one.